Folks, welcome to Wani. This is your host Vitek, and with us today we have the amazing bassist of Between the Buried and Me, Dan Briggs. How are we doing, sir?
Hey, I'm great, thank you.
Now, just a few weeks left for your highly anticipated album, Coma Ecliptic. Excited? Nervous? What's happening in the camp?
Very excited. It's I don't understand the getting nervous before release. I know people do, and maybe people in our band do, but to me, some of this stuff I've been waiting for people to hear for over a year,
Right.
and I can't wait. The CD actually came to my house yesterday, so that was awesome to actually see it, to hold it, and yeah, I mean it's been great to talk about the album, and it's definitely like it's time for people to hear it for sure.
Absolutely. Now, a single came out followed by a music video, which was pretty much creepy and it was really well shot. So
Yeah.
you have two stuffs to one single and one music video already out. How have the fans responded so far?
It seems great. It seems like it's been really positive. With the video, our drummer's brother Wes
Hmm.
actually does our music videos, and he's so talented and was able to really get a lot out of what is the beginning of the story.
It's like
Um,
the essence of the initial part of the story was very well captured.
yeah, he actually built kind of like a backstory as to why this character wanted to go into a self-induced coma, and that's
Mhm.
not really explained in the story, but we thought that was a great idea to kind of introduce people to the music and to the story. And yeah, it seems like it's been positive so far. We played Memory Palace on a short couple week tour over here, and it feels great to play, and it seems like the reaction's been good. So.
Awesome. Now, it's easily, for me as a BTBAM fan, it's easily a step towards, let's say, the different side of you guys. I mean, definitely a leap forward. But
Uh-huh.
when I listen to the album, I mean, I've been completely, listening to it for almost 2 weeks, and it's pretty much easy for me to say that even though I spent 70 minutes on it, the arrangements, the structure of the album is definitely precise on
Yeah.
this album. So was that an intention for you guys to spend more time, arrange things in a way that each and every bit of it sounds important?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a couple of ideas. It was wanting to do more with less,
Hmm.
and really having more of a focus on the musical themes themselves, delivering something more than just more than just kind of satisfying our desire to write technical music or whatever.
Right. Hmm.
There was a lot that was kind of written with the idea that the vocals would carry a section,
Hmm.
and that's not a way we've really written before. Honestly, we kind of write our music like we're an instrumental band,
Hmm.
and I think if you listen to anything off Colors or the Parallax, Great Misdirect, you could definitely feel that. And this was really the first time there were some big steps taken to be like, I think in this part, maybe the organ needs to be most present,
Hmm.
and maybe what's happening in the story, whatever Tommy's telling at that time needs to be most present. And
Right.
it's been a long growth over. I mean, me and Blake and Dusty have been in the band for 10 years now,
Yeah.
and it's just a lot to get to this point, and I think everyone's just super happy that we ended up here and that we've been able to be a band for this long, and people have been along for the ride for us to be able to grow.
Exactly, because the biggest thing about this is how Parallax 2 was different from your from Colors and the Great Misdirect. And then when
Mhm.
I listen to Coma Ecliptic, it's just the next phase of the band in terms of songwriting. So it looks like to me that every album you come out with, it's always different from the previous album. So there's no intention of, let's say, rehash some of the older material, but it's always about exploring your musical territories and, let's say, explore your wings in that case.
Yeah, and I think, modern day, the word progressive prog gets thrown around so much, and attached to bands, for a certain sound.
Mm-hmm.
And to us, it's always been an idea. It's been a philosophy, and it's been something that we practice and we preach. It's moving forward. It's not being content, and the earliest example of that is Colors and the very song White Walls, which the lyrics to that song are directly actually about that. It's about breaking out,
Mm-hmm.
Especially from where we were at the time, and I think, like you said, like it's kind of the next natural step after the parallax, and for us, that growth has always happened very naturally, and that's what's most important. We feel like, just as it's important to not repeat yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not get kind of stale, it's important to make each jump feel natural.
Right.
And really, if you look at us as composers, we're sitting down every 2-3 years or whatever and writing a new album.
Mm-hmm.
You just grow a lot in that time,
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. Now, talking about the story of the album, Tommy says that this album is about, like a coma within a coma within a coma. So it's more like you guys are fucking the brains out of your fans by creating another Inception.
Yeah.
So was this an intention to do, mindfuck the fans in terms of how a person can feel when he's stuck inside, when he traverses through the journey? I mean, you jump from space-related themes to a more personal one. It must have been a pretty much, a different thing to explore for Tommy, as well as you guys, in terms of songwriting.
Oh yeah, and for the idea of the story, the thing that Tommy, first approached us with was just this idea of a coma.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, that could be really interesting, because who knows what really happens,
Right.
I mean, it's basically like, exploring a long, dream,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And then there was the idea of, using, a series of songs as the basis for exploring these, strange past life kind of distant memory,
Right.
Scenarios. And it was so cool, but there is, like you said, there's like a struggle. There's something he's going through and he's dealing with, and you see it in the video.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is important. We love science fiction. We love weird, bizarre stories and movies and stuff.
Right.
But with the music and everything, there's a sense of drama that has to be there, and some sort of connection, a larger human story, to the science fiction that we've kind of built.
Absolutely, because it's pretty much clear as a listener that every note which you have written, Paul or Dusty or Blake or even Tommy has written has purpose in terms of musical direction, and also how it kind of reminds me the Dream Theater's Metropolis album, where everything is connected from the first till the end, with the story attached, and it evolves as the songs pass in. So it's cool to see that you guys have some tracks are instrumental in a sense, like it's more like storm before, that calm before the storm begins. It's something like that, which I pretty much like, because you guys raise the bar and then you kind of keep it low and then you again raise it. So there's like every purposeful note there has been taken care of, and this must have taken a lot of time for you guys to basically figure out, how can we make sure that the story goes as per what you guys have visioned?
Yeah, we're kind of freaks when we're writing, because when things throughout our history and our discography, when things are going well in the rehearsal space, and at home during that time, we work really quickly, and the longer we do this, the better we get at seeing what the album is going to be, where the kind of peaks, the highs and the lows are going to be, where songs are fitting in. And for this album, actually, when we showed up to the rehearsal space for the very first time, all of us in the room together, Tommy wasn't there, but the 4 instrument players were there, and we busted out the marker board to chart out, the demos and where we thought they might be going.
Right.
And we honestly had the album laid out. Everything was laid out. It wasn't all finished, but there were a lot of finished pieces from the get-go, like big pieces that really set the tone and were kind of strategically placed in the beginning, in the middle, and then nearer towards the end. And that just helped so much. And I think when everybody could look at the marker board, everybody just kind of breathed a sigh of relief and like, okay, well,
right.
let's just tackle it. So, it's both good and daunting, because you see this full marker board and you got 11, 10 tracks or whatever on it. And it's September, first week of September, and you're kind of like, fuck, well, that's what we got to do. But then at the same time, it's also like, oh, good, well, it's right there. That's all we have to do,
Right. That's awesome. Now, one more thing about the album, which is pretty much cool, is how Tommy has kept the screams kind of away from the album. Maybe due to the reason that there's a lot of melody going on, and also the tones on the keyboard are much on a larger level as compared to the previous album. So looks like that was the intention, to explore a different side of Tommy.
There was, the key stuff was both Tommy and I. A lot of the stuff that the both of us were writing was based on keys, and for me, acoustic guitar. And it was something early on where Tommy shared a couple riffs, and some of them we used in King Redeem, Queen Serene, that song. And the verse section, and I wrote him, and it was he had done a score for an indie film that he released a few months ago. I don't know if the movie's out yet, but when he sent me the score like a while ago, like last summer or something, I thought it was great, and I thought it was some of the coolest stuff I'd heard him do. And after he sent that initial batch of kind of stuff that he'd written on guitar, I was like, man. Like, I got to be honest, I'm really excited to see kind of what you write on keys for this, because I think, especially with trying to take this interesting, different kind of vocal approach that you're talking about. Right. I think that's going to just put it in a different headspace. And then the first thing he sent after that was Dim Ignition, which is this weird, like, dystopian kind of like futuristic. It's such a great, track going from the Coma Machine to Famine Wolf. Fits the place so well in the story, and was such a cool, different idea. So, key presence was huge. And then as far as vocals, he had, probably earlier in 2014, I remember we were on tour with Deaf Heaven. And I don't know if it was just, kind of near the end of a long tour cycle, if it was that tour in particular. He got sick on that tour near the end, and it kind of screwed us because we were filming our DVD and had to push it back, because the last show of that tour, he actually had no voice. He couldn't sing at all. And it was something he'd said on the tour. And it was nothing to do with screaming, why he lost his voice, but he had just kind of mentioned how, every night he was just like, what am I angry about? I have nothing to be angry about to yell at these people for. And, I think the idea was, he's feeling more comfortable with his voice. And you've seen it throughout our albums from the Silent Circus, when he started singing, up to now, and his solo records and the guest vocals he's done on people's records. I mean, he's gotten a lot more comfortable, and to do an album like this, which in our minds was like this big rock opera, he's taken on the voices of so many different characters throughout the album. And so not only did he have to find what his kind of main singing voice was over not just a clean, quiet part, but over, some more rocking stuff. But then he had to translate that to these characters and stuff. So it was a big step, and he had a lot of doubts along the way, and we were just constantly, pumping him up and being like, dude, it sounds great. Don't worry.
Awesome, because the beginning track Node kind of, I was actually surprised because I was listening to it for the first time, and it kind of felt like Steven Wilson is on vocals. I mean, his cleans have actually, are shaping up so, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's really coming out very good. And I would ideally prefer that than hearing screams, because it goes with the music. It goes with what you guys have created. So hats off to Tommy.
I think that was the main thing is, that was kind of in the back of my head when I had started writing, was this idea of like, and it's not like we ever wrote stuff to specifically be, just heavy or whatever, but I think it was just an interesting challenge to, in the back of your mind, think, well, what if this song stayed in this melodic center? What would that be like? And it was good to be able to present a couple songs in full,
right?
To kind of show everyone, like, this isn't totally scary. It's still us, and it's still, just as exciting and weird at times and different. It's just going to be, a little more focused and with a melodic focus. So
that's really cool. Now, what are the plans of taking this album on road? Because it's very important to see how you guys, written this in the studio, and now you take it live. It's got to be a different feeling altogether for fans to explode. So, any tours coming up, and festivals or such?
Yeah, there's actually, it's funny because we've had it's been almost a year exactly. I think the beginning of July is when we got home from our last tour before we started writing. So it's been almost a year, and in that time we've done maybe like 16, 17 shows, So it's about to get wild for the next 2 years. So we're playing a festival, a big American festival this weekend with like, Tears for Fears and Earth, Wind and Fire and
wow.
all these huge bands. It's gonna be fun. And then
also heading on a tour with Animal as readers, and then you had to Europe with Haken as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're super. Yeah. So we leave right when the album comes out, the first week of July, in America, and then we're taking Haken out in the UK and Europe, and that's going to be awesome. They're one of my favorite bands, and we haven't announced, but we're getting everything together for another US tour in November and December, and then in 2016 our plan is to play the full album. Hopefully we'll
awesome.
get a full year of playing the full album, hopefully all over the world if people want to see it. But at the very least, we'll be doing it in North America. So
I hope I get to see you guys at least here in India.
I mean, we're waiting for an offer. We would love to come.
Man, I just hope it happens soon, because there are a lot of prog fans and of course a lot of BTBAM fans waiting. But it's just that we just have to wait for artists to come here some way or the other. Last weekend, in fact, we had Napalm Death headlining a festival here. So it's very difficult for us to have bands come here, but whenever they come, it's always a treat, and it's like thousands of dudes raising the horns.
Yeah, I think the problem is, sometimes, getting American bands or European bands or bands from India to like America, it's so expensive, it's such a big. It has to be attached to a much larger trip to kind of be able to balance out your expenses, and that's kind of the one downside with a band our size, especially going to a place that we've never been before. And there have been times throughout our career where we've done that, and it's been awesome. And,
Right.
and we're like, that, we had no idea, all these people liked us. And then, there's been times where, you go and you're kind of like, well, we went just to go, and the show was not so good, but, at least we can say we went.
Yeah.
And India is a place that we would love to get to. I don't think we've actually gotten a real offer, but I would just love to go.
I hope that happens very soon, brother. That would
Yeah.
be great for us. Sounds good. So before I conclude, how about you define Coma Ecliptic in just one sentence?
Musically or
Yeah.
or
Musically.
musically? Oh shit. Coma Ecliptic is the most truest representation of Between the Bear to Me in 2015.
Well,
Uh,
in a sense, I do agree. Keeping
yeah,
in mind the territories you guys have explored. So
yeah.
I gotta say, yeah, that's true.
I think it's just it feels right. It feels like it was the time to do this kind of album, and we feel so good about it. Everything from the production of the record, the songs, of course, the artwork, the video. I mean, everything's just blowing us away at the moment. So we feel pretty lucky.